So I think we left off last time. We had finished the second Mishnah, and we're going to try to dive into the third Mishnah. No, so we're up to Antigonis.
Oh, right, Sokho, right, sorry.
The man of Sokho. So let's just read the Mishnah real quick, and then we'll try to talk a little bit about who this is and what he's talking about. Antigonis ish Sokho kibel Shimon HaTzaddik. Antigonis, the man of Sokho. We'll read the whole Mishnah and we'll kind of go back. He received the mesorah from Shimon HaTzaddik. Hu hayomer. He was wont to say, "Al tihu ka'avadim ha'mashamshim mesarav al manat lekabel pras." Don't be like the servants who service the master. The Rav here is the master on condition to receive. For now, we'll translate pras as reward or a bonus, a tip. Ella havu rather, this is what you should do. Havu ka'avadim ha'mashamshim mesarav shalom manas lekabel pras. Be like the servants who serve the master not on condition to receive reward. And the fear of heaven should be upon you. Okay, so now let's go back step by step. The first thing that we're going to notice is the name Antigonis. Right. Not a nice, good Jewish name. It's the exact opposite. It's a Greek name. And the fact that he is Kibo Mishimon HaTzaddik, let's try to get some dates. I don't think we've talked chronology yet. There are, to make things interesting, of course, there are actually two Shimons who were Kohanim Gedolim who lived within about 100 years of each other. So for our purposes, to make it simpler and assume that Shimon overlaps with Antigonis, we're going to have to assume that we're talking about the second Simon. Simon number 2, Shimon HaTzaddik, was the Shimon who lives in, we'll say, the mid to end of the 3rd century before the Common Era, so 250 to, let's say, 200 BCE, versus the Simon number 1 who lives about 100 years, maybe 70 years before that, at the end of the 4th century before the Common Era. If we go with that assumption, then we can have Shimon overlap with Antigonis, whose dates approximately, and we can't really be sure about any of this, but let's say Antigonis is the beginning of the 2nd century before the Common Era, so around, let's say, the year 195 till 165. The reason I'm stopping at 165 is what happened in the year, the 160s before the Common Era. This might...
160s?
Yeah. The Hasmonean Revolt. The Hanukkah story, right? The Hanukkah story is then. So we're going to assume that Antigonis, with a name like Antigonis, is, if not necessarily himself Hellenized, the Hellenization of the Jews at the time is what contributes to having a name like that. Just as an aside, it's important, I guess we're going to start preparing for Hanukkah at this point, to realize that the main battle of Hanukkah was between Jews. It was not necessarily just the Jews fighting against the Greeks. It was the Jews fighting against the Hellenized Jews. So Antigonis receives the mesorah from Shimon HaTzaddik. Antigonis is a man of Sokho. We don't know very much about this town of Sokho. It doesn't seem that it was like a hotbed of scholarship. That's going to be important a little later on in Masechtas Avos. So he receives the mesorah from Shimon HaTzaddik. I guess just because we didn't do it last time, there's one statement from Ben Sira about Shimon HaTzaddik that I think is actually worth reading inside, because it's really interesting and applicable to our davening. This is the 50th chapter of Ben Sira. So just remember, Ben Sira lives around, he's writing, let's say, the 2nd century before the Common Era. So if we assume that the Shimon HaTzaddik that we're talking about in our Mishnah is the same, it is alive and servicing in the Beis HaMikdash at that time, then what you're going to get in Ben Sira is him seeing that Shimon HaTzaddik and describing what he saw. And that's in the 50th chapter. Gadol Echav v'tiferes amo Shimon ben Yochanan HaKohen asher b'doro nifkad habayis u'biyamav chuzak heichal. Great one of his brethren and glory of his people was Shimon the son of Yochanan, the priest in whose generation the house was repaired. meaning the Beis Hamikdash had repairs done, and in whose days the temple was fortified. Asher bedoro nichra mikveh v'siach kayam b'homono. I'm not going to translate all this, but the point is that, let's see here. We'll start in verse 5. How glorious was he when he looked forth from the ohel, meaning the tent, the inner sanctuary, and when he went out from the house of the veil. The veil is the parochas, that meaning when he comes out from the Kodesh HaKadoshim. So this is the Kohen Gadol. When does the Kohen Gadol go into the Kodesh HaKadoshim? Any takers? Yom Kippur, right? Kekochav or mi bein avim ukayerech maleh b'mei moed. This is how he looked, as the morning star from amid the thick clouds, and as the full moon in the days of the solemn feast. Keshemesh mishakeres el heichal hamelech ukekeshes near asa be'anan, like the sun dawning upon the temple of the king, and as the rainbow seen in the cloudy day. Keneitz ba'at, right? And it goes on and on over here. Kekli zahav mifutach ve'antil hanezach al avnei chayfetz, or like a gold-plated vessel and a chalice that is set with pleasant stones. So I think you caught on already to the allusion over here. The piyyut of Ma'areh Kohen that we use on Yom Kippur comes from the description of Ben Sira as he's describing Shimon HaTzaddik performing the avoda in the Beis Hamikdash on Yom Kippur. Okay. I don't know if I mentioned, the town of Sokho is mentioned once or twice in Sefer Yoshua, but we don't have much more than that.
It's somewhere near Yerushalayim.
Yeah.
Shimon HaTzaddik is in Yerushalayim area.
Right.
They didn't travel a lot.
Right. Fair. I think that's very
Just
fair.
a sidebar question.
Yeah.
Is it possible that this place, that it wasn't like actually a place, that this is like a play on words or like a descriptor? Like,
no, Sokho is a town. We know where it is.
Because like I'm just saying, like Boaz is called Ibsan, or Ibsan is called Boaz, and like this guy Antigonis of Sokho, like was it like a siach, like he said conversations, like I'm just saying, like
I hear that.
Is it some kind of like drasha? Like, why do I need to know where he's from? Like Antigonis, the guy who received the mesorah for the entire Jewish people, that Antigonis,
right?
I assume there's only one of those,
right? So
why do I need to know that he's from
so that's an excellent point. We're going to get to it a little bit later when we talk about the ramifications of his statement. But to the point you just made, this Mishnah of Antigonis of Sokho is the one and only statement we have of Antigonis of Sokho in Kol HaTorah Kula. We don't get anything else from him anywhere else. You cannot find another Mishnah, a reference to him in Chazal, nothing. The only other time we have Antigonis of Sokho is in the Avos to Rabbi Nassim, which is just a later version of the same Mishnah. And I'm gonna read that to you in a minute because I want you to compare the two, just for fun, because academics love using convoluted technical terms for simple things. So the last Mishnah mentioned avoda, right? Shlosh Devarim Olam Omed, and avoda was one of them. This Mishnah mentions don't be like an eved, right? It uses that same term. So the jargony term for reusing a word but in a different way is either anadiplosis or polypetoton. And no, I did not just make those words up. I just thought that was very fun to play with.
You like the little squashes on the side, but like those little patty squashes.
Yes, maybe. If you find polypetoton at Whole Foods, let me know. Okay, we're not. Well, maybe we'll dig into it just a little bit to start, and then we can try to tease out an answer next time. The statement that Antigonis makes, is this normative Judaism or not? Again, his statement was, don't be like the servants who serve God on condition of receiving reward, rather be like the servants who serve God not on condition of receiving reward. L'shem shamayim. So you're not allowed to serve God with...
He said B is better. He's saying better. Is he saying it's better, or do this and don't do that? I mean, it's a higher level.
I'll to you, don't be this way.
Don't do the lower.
Be that way.
Don't do the lower level, right?
What do you mean don't do the lower level?
You still get credit if you do mitzvahs, right?
The whole Torah describes...
Right, it's better to do mitzvahs with the proper machshavos.
Well, it's improper to do a mitzvah with the intent to be rewarded. God says, if you keep my mitzvahs, then you'll get the rain in its appropriate time. You should keep the mitzvahs without hoping for rain. You're saying, if you're Antigonis.
which is
What I'm asking you is serving God without the intention for the reward. Is that I'm sorry, with the intention for reward? Is that not l'shem shamayim?
I think that's what he's insinuating. No?
Why?
Because he said you're only doing it for a reward, you're not doing it for a Hashem.
So the Gemara says that if a person gives a tzedakah, he says, I'm giving this selah almanas that my son should be healed, that person is a completely righteous person. And you're agreeing he's completely righteous. Okay, but he's not next level. He hasn't leveled up.
I think there are other examples, but not that one, where we could say that it applies more.
I'll give you another example. The Gemara says that why did Moshe Rabbeinu want to enter Eretz Yisrael? Not to eat from its fruits, but rather, says the Gemara, to do the mitzvos and receive the reward.
But what do you say? You're not doing l'shem shamayim, and not doing it, or doing it mekabanos front. It could sound like you're doing it for only that. Only that.
You're saying you can have more than one intention. And
what is it? If you don't,
here.
If you do it, right?
He doesn't say there's anything wrong. He just says don't do that.
That's what I said. I said that he's not saying it's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's saying it's not the best.
The best.
By saying don't do that, do this. Don't do A because it's not as good as B. Do B.
There's nothing wrong with A. It's just B is better.
He doesn't say that. He doesn't explicitly say that.
Okay.
Wrong.
Have you got an ace up your sleeve? Are you gonna try to throw us a curveball here?
This is my curveball. I'll do one little curveball, I guess. In Avos de Rabbi Nassan, in the 10th parak, in Nusach Beis, in the 10th parak, we get a different girsa of Antigonis' statement. See if you can catch the difference. Antigonis ish Sokho kibul Shimon HaTzaddik. That so far so good. Hu haya omer. Al tiuki avadim hamashamshem mesarav amanat lakabel pras. Ella havu ka'avadim hamashamshem et harav amanat shelo lakabel pras. Yumor shamayim aleichem. Catch the difference?
It sounds like the second version that he's saying that you're gonna sort of be stagnant if you don't do it more of a shema.
I didn't catch the difference.
What's the difference? What do you mean by stagnant?
You're not going to get to the next level. You're not going to grow from.
Wait, say that again.
So I'm going to read one more time. Al tiyu ka'avodim hamashamshem harav amanat lakabel pras. That's the same. Don't be like the servants who serve God on condition of receiving reward. Ella, what should you do? Havu ka'avodim hamashamshem et harav amanat shelo lakabel pras. Be the servants who serve the master on the condition to not receive reward.
If you focus on the servants like slaves, not the take Hashem out of it.
Okay.
Regular slave. Why would he do it for not?
Oh, that's a great question. Why is a servant serving the master for no reward?
I think it has to be because of love.
Interesting.
So
What to go free.
Okay.
So maybe that's you can now apply Avas Hashem as a back to the Mishnah. I said B'Shem Shemayim. Another concept would be Avos Hashem.
If you're a slave and you work and you get paid like a worker, like your situation will never change. I work, I wake up, I work, I'm a slave, I work as a slave, I get paid. Day out there, you're working for free. Something potentially gonna change. Like that's not a normal situation where you're gonna just work for free for the rest of your life.
Right. So
are we saying that we want to be free from Hashem? Like, what does that mean?
Well, I'm gonna make that approach harder. I'm not saying you're wrong because I think the Rambam agrees with you. The term pras is a technical term. It does not, from the research I've done, even though this disagrees with Rambam, it does not mean an additional thing above and beyond. Pras is your basic sustenance. It's the basic, like pras b'shachris pras bein harbaim is like the basic food that you should get in order to subsist. So this isn't saying...
So meaning to say that you shouldn't rely on Hashem to provide you with your needs. You should put your hishtadlus in on your own to do your own thing. And you should serve Hashem anyway, like on top of whatever effort you need to sustain yourself. Is that what it's saying?
Oh, that's interesting. Don't serve the master with the expectation that God is going to feed you.
I'm not going to sit and learn Kollel and expect the man to fall from heaven. I'm a working guy. I'm going to work for my living. I'm going to make an honest day's work and an honest day's pay. I'm going to buy my stuff, and I'm going to spend all my spare time doing Torah and mitzvahs as much as I can. Hashem, you don't need to sustain me, Hashem. Like, I'll work on it myself. God helps those who help themselves. But I'm doing this stuff, but you don't have to. Maybe that's the higher level.
Okay.
We know that you get reward. So this is all about intent and how you think.
It's a very.
Right.
I think you're right.
Yeah, because it's not saying like don't.
It's not saying there is no reward, right?
It
can't. In fact, it can't be saying that. You know why it can't be saying that? Because then it would contradict Avos 2:14. Avos 2:14 says. No, nice
also
try.
the person who misinterpreted.
We're gonna get to that in 1 second.
That person.
Right. So Avos 2:14 says as follows: Rabbi Lazar Omer, Hava Shakulil Motorah V'da Mashatashiv Lapikoris V'da Lifnei Miata Amal. Know before whom you toil. V'neman hu ba malachtecha she'ishalem lecha schar pulasecha. You can trust that God is going to pay you the schar pulasecha, right? That's what Antigonis is saying. Don't pay any attention to that schar pulasecha. Rabbi Lazar is saying, don't worry about you. You can and should think about it because you can trust that God is going to provide it to you. And what Stephen was mentioning is the second part in Avos to Rebbe Nassim, which says as follows: Antigonis of Sokho hayu lo shnei talmidim shahayu shonim b'dvarav. Antigonis had 2 students. Now these are not the students who we're going to continue to see in Avos, so he must have had more than 2 students. But havu shonim l'talmidim l'talmidim amdu v'diktiku achareihem va'amru ma ro rabosenu lomar davar zeh. What is our teacher thinking to teach such a thing? After shiyasa pol malacha kol hayom, a worker is going to work all day. V'lo yitel scharo arvis, and he's not going to get paid in the evening. Eliu hayu yoden rabosen sheyesh olam acher v'yesh tchias hamesim lo hayu orm kach. If our rabbi knew that there was a world to come and there was tchias hamesim, he would never say such a thing, implying that Antigonus didn't hold of those things. So Amdu Perishu Min Torah, these 2 students set themselves apart from the Torah. V'nifritzu mehem shtei pratos, and 2 groups of Jewish separatists came from there. Tzedukim u'baitusim. Tzedukim Hashem tzadok, u'baitusim Hashem baitos. Baitos is another nice Greek name. V'hayim mishtamshim b'klei kesef b'klei zahav kol yemehem, and they believed in the Greek philosophy of eat and drink, for tomorrow you will die. In other words, they did not believe in a world to come. And we have support in Josephus for this idea that the Tzedukim did not believe in the world to come. But I think we're over on our time, and I want to get to Yechezkel because I promised everybody Yechezkel. Okay, so more to come next week, Mitzvah Hashem.